Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:07. Coming up in 30 minutes, Mollie Hemingway of the Federalist to unpack what we learned yesterday in the declassification of so many documents related to the Obama administration's, deception with regard to the intelligence community assessment on Russian collusion, so-called. That's coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry.
Joining us right now is KT McFarland, former Deputy National Security Advisor, President Trump, author of the book Revolution. And KT, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it, especially today.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
I read your book, and you detail much of what you had to go through as the Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump when this witch hunt began. And I'd love your personal reflections. People's lives were ruined because of this lie. Yeah. And we know now that John Brennan, the CIA director, purposely used unsupported and dodgy intelligence that career CIA officials had disregarded and said, well, no, that's not reliable. We can't use that. But they did use it because Barack Obama said, come up with backup to support our conclusion. The conclusion was that Russia successfully interfered with the election, and they did it because they favored Trump. Both of those things were lies, and people's lives were ruined. Your life was turned upside down because of it, KT.
Yeah, and what people don't understand, it was all an attempt to sabotage President Trump, to, quote, get President Trump, whatever that meant, to derail his presidency but when you think about what were their motivations, well, one, they thought President Trump just shouldn't have been president, that the American people were too stupid to elect the candidate they should have elected. So it was the arrogance of it. It was saying, well, the American people made a mistake. And instead of, trying to have an alternative candidate for the next election, instead of being on the outside criticizing him in the media, they burrowed inside to try to destroy him from within. So it's like they don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in the rule of the people. They think they're the people who should choose. They're much smarter than you are, after all. They're the experts. They've been at it for years. And who was President Trump? He was the guy who said he was going to drain the swamp. Well, they were the swamp. And so, of course, their motivations were to undo or just sabotage the presidency of President Trump from the very beginning. But to do it, they had a lot of collateral damage, and I sadly was one of the collateral damage. And as they were proceeding through the Mueller investigation and all the various congressional investigations, they had an unlimited checkbook so that they could pursue anybody they felt like, even if they knew there was no case against the person. They knew the individual was absolutely 100% innocent of any possible crime, but they thought, well, we'll trick them up. We're going to not let them have their files so that when we ask them a question, they can't refer to their files to make an answer of yes or no, and if they get it wrong, then we can charge them with perjury. And they know that they're going to bankrupt people. So their method is not, we're looking into a legitimate crime, and therefore we're going to expose it to the American people. Their thing is, we know there's no legitimate crime here. We're not going to expose it to anybody. We're the insiders, and we are going to force President Trump and his team into bankruptcy. And in my case, they knew I'd not done anything wrong, but they knew that I would have to hire lawyers to get access to files, to plead on my behalf. I couldn't do it by myself. My legal fees were nearly $1 million, and that doesn't get reimbursed. We asked the Justice Department in the Biden administration, look, could we be reimbursed here? Insurance doesn't pay for this. She never committed a crime. She's never charged with a crime. They laughed. They don't reimburse Republicans for their fees. So it's just the whole thing is so nasty and dirty.
Yeah. KT, nasty and dirty. It's not surprising that would be, you describe the former FBI director and the former CIA director that way. But this goes up to President Obama. And I think up until now, a lot of people have thought that he was, I don't know if this was going on behind his back or something. But I think the information that we heard from Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI, is that he gave the order for this to happen. Are you surprised that this is now coming out about Obama? And there are no repercussions for it other than maybe a dent in his halo.
What upsets me is during the first Trump term, and I've asked the former director of national intelligence and others in President Trump's first term, Why did you not just declassify everything? Let the public see it. Let the public decide. And their excuse is, well, here the intelligence community has told us that if we talk about any of this, it's going to reveal sources or methods, or essentially the American people can't handle it. Well, the American people can handle it. And so now, thank goodness that Tulsi has just said, we're just going to let it rip. Just open up the doors and the lights on the files. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. No judgment of this is red, right? But just let all the files out there, because there is a paper trail. I promise you, there is a huge paper trail for every one of these things. Government workers don't do things. Professional government workers don't do things on their, quote, own recognizance. They'll have a paper trail to defend them and back them up. So let's just let the American people see it all.
Yeah, in retrospect, maybe Hillary shouldn't have called Tulsi Gabbard a Russian asset. Maybe the Biden administration shouldn't have put her on the terror watch list. It is quite a spectacle to see now. KT, there's another broader issue here, though. You've got, first of all, we've got members of the Trump administration who are sitting down and meeting with representatives of Israel and Syria today to try to resolve the issues in South Syria. You've got other high-level conversations going on with Russia, Ukraine, all across the country, all across the map. And to be able to properly function, you need an effective and reliable intelligence community. Spying is important. Having intel is important. It goes all the way back to George Washington and the Revolution. And stories like this continue to undermine the notion that we have a reliable intelligence community right now, and that the president is actually getting straightforward information to make these important decisions.
Well, hopefully some of the worst are gone, and I think that's true, but you don't know who else is burrowed in there. The problem with all of it is, and I think the thing was so hard for me to get my head around, it's not just what happened to me personally and the financial costs and the loss of my career and all that. It was that I had a government that was, the FBI were not the good guys. The Justice Department were evil. Now, not all of them. Maybe it's only 2% of the rotten apples in the barrel, but they tarnished the whole intelligence community. And Larry, as you said, who do you think you can trust? Well, I think the first thing you got to do is just let the files out. Just let everybody see everything. And then you'll know who the bad guys are. Get rid of the bad guys, and hopefully you rebuild. But if you don't do this, sunlight is the best disinfectant, then every president has got to wonder, is this really, are they out to get me? Or, is the biggest enemy to myself the government, not my political opponents? So let it all hang out. And as far as President Trump, this is the perfect time to do it, because he's a guy who really trusts his own instincts. He doesn't necessarily believe that whatever the intelligence community hands to him, because he's got a huge global network of colleagues and businessmen and people he's known for decades that he can also rely on for information. But I think unless you clean house, unless you find out the extent of their crimes and what they did and are holding people accountable, then it's going to happen again. And this, to me, is the biggest threat to America. It's not the Russians or the Chinese or terrorists. It's from within. It's the swamp.
The biggest threat to America.
Wow.
KT, always good to talk to you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hang in there.
Thank you.
It is 8:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Yes, I remember it dearly. What a great show. It always freaks me out to think about that in the late 70s, early 80s, when Happy Days was a very popular show when I was a very little kid. Before you were born, Patrice Onwuka, it was a nostalgic piece about time back in the good old days of the 50s, right, which was about 30 years, maybe 25 years before. Think about it for a minute. When Happy Days was on, compared to where we are today in the year 2025, that was longer ago today than the 50s were to the early 80s. That freaks me out.
Okay, I get the math.
If we did the same time span, to 25 years ago today, we'd be talking about back in the year 2000, which wasn't that different.
Yeah, I remember. It wasn't that different. We're getting
But the
old,
difference
Larry.
between 1958 and 1983 was pretty different. And anyway, some of the fun in Happy Days was all the scenes at the diner, right?
Yes.
The
And
diner,
it was a roller skate roll-up diner, right? You pulled up in your car, and then the waitresses were on roller skates.
Arnold's, absolutely. And now Elon Musk, he's always considered kind of a futuristic dude who wants to take us to Mars with his rockets and his electric cars and his AI and his robots. Well, he is sort of doing a nostalgic trip himself. He's opened a Tesla diner in L.A. that really does harken back to those times. Here's KTLA, local station there, reporting on it.
Okay, what did you Uber Eats for yourself? We're curious.
Mercury, a burrito.
Okay.
So hold on a second.
I'm going to split this with you, Dave.
You're outside of a place. You're doing a whole story on a diner, and you don't go in to buy a diner yourself, and you Uber Eats a burrito to yourself? How is your... when are you going to put your tiara back on?
I owe no loyalty to Elon Musk. I went inside with the full intention of ordering even these tacos, but it didn't look very appetizing.
Okay.
And if I'm going to have like a good breakfast, I wanted a good breakfast.
Fair enough.
This
Where'd
is
you
an
Uber Eats
honest
from?
review, guys. Unbiased,
I
honest.
didn't know they...
So they're doing this little
Unbiased.
puff
Oh,
piece.
come on.
And this reporter's like, I owe no allegiance to Elon Musk and his draconian Hitler-like cuts in our federal government, so I'm not even going to eat his food that looks so... Can you believe this? What the hell has happened?
This is what activist journalism looks like.
Right.
It's all activism and no journalism. I mean, the story would have been more interesting if she actually got those tacos, tasted them, and like, oh, they were terrible. Then she could actually say that credibly. But now she can't say, oh, they didn't look appetizing, so I'm not going to... But I'm going to do a whole story on this place. It's embarrassing. They should fire her.
It's insane. And then it goes on. Listen to here. Here's cut 22 here. Again, talking to the people. And the studio hosts, the anchors, are like, go find people in the neighborhood who are complaining about the diner, who hate the diner.
Goodness.
It's like, I want to go to the diner. Here, listen.
There's an apartment
the big
building
screens. Okay, they want
directly
to see the big
behind.
screens.
Not that one, the other one.
Oh,
That
This
one.
Yeah.
Look at their view.
Nice view. Yeah, what happens to those people, with their balconies and their view?
They lost their view.
Yeah.
They have to
Apparently.
stare at the back
Wow.
of a screen.
I wouldn't be... Go interview them. I wouldn't be happy. Go
and
knock on some doors.
subpar tacos.
Yeah. How's the coffee?
And ask them what they think.
Yeah, ask them what they think.
But
Like, that is actually your job. I mean, come on. I'm not trained journalist, but I get the job. Come on.
She does have to admit the coffee's good at the diner, though. Here, take a listen.
Coffee is excellent, but it's also not from here. It's an oat milk latte.
Okay.
Alina
really good.
just
Okay.
really showing some meanness
Yeah.
today.
She has standards, and they weren't
I
met
guess.
where she was.
Yeah.
And now
Wow.
Look at how the female host takes up for this subpar reporter.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is so ridiculous.
All right, let's hop to cut 26 here because they keep going back to this live thing. It's like, again, it's like
good TV.
I carry no water for Elon Musk, but it just drives me insane how people are so obsessed with him. It's Musk derangement syndrome is the problem here. And he's done more for Southern California in terms of jobs and the economy, and no wonder he's leaving. I don't know why. Why did he open the diner in L.A.? He should have opened it in Texas, where he moved the headquarters. But here, they find a guy off the street who just came out of the diner, and they want to stir up more trouble and get him to, slam the place. But it didn't go quite the way they planned. Listen.
But Roman, can we ask you to come over here, please? Roman, also a patron of the diner this morning. Roman, what did you think, the overall experience?
I think that this is great for the city. This just looks fantastic. It looks good on the eyes to drive past this and see it. And I'm just really excited that this is here. Yeah.
That's the last
There
thing
you
they
go.
wanted. All right, get him off. Get him off. It's just awful.
They
I'm
asked for somebody some regular folks to come on, so.
Yeah, I go to Southern California regularly. In fact, I'm going to be there this weekend. Hopefully I'm going to be able to try this, and I'll give you a full report. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but it's a
Take
great idea.
pictures.
You go there, you drive up in your Tesla, you get a charge while you're sitting there.
Oh, nice,
Getting your
yeah.
food at the diner. It's like, you've got a Tesla, I've got a Tesla.
do,
We love
yeah.
our Teslas, don't we?
I love my Tesla, and I'm still looking for the person who vandalized it earlier this year.
Oh, well, look, When there's a Democrat primary in Maryland, just to check everybody lining up to vote, and you might find your suspect. It is 8:23.
Coming up, Mollie Hemingway. Stay with us, O'Connor and Company.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
The time is 8:37. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka this Thursday morning. Thanks, Patrice, for being here.
Absolutely.
And thank you to our next guest. She's, a superstar. Love talking to Mollie Hemingway. Local gal make good, editor-in-chief of the Federalist, Fox News contributor, and all around. Like everybody either wants to be married to you or have you be their sister, Mollie. It's amazing. That must be hard for you to endure.
Thanks, Larry, and great to talk to you, Patrice.
Yeah, same here, Mollie.
Listen, a handful of observers, journalists, columnists, radio hosts, podcasters were on top of the Russian collusion story right from the get-go. You were one of them. You were fighting the good fight on Fox News against formidable odds of the chattering class. Yesterday must have been a cathartic moment for you to finally see the evidence to back up what this conspiracy really was all about.
It was an amazing thing to see this news come out, which was this report that had been suppressed for many, many years, showing that when the Obama officials said that Russia had intervened in the election to help Trump, they basically just completely made it up. And yesterday showed that they had 4 reasons for saying it, and all 4 were wrong. Like, one was a fragment of a sentence that was misinterpreted, that was, at best about Putin thinking Trump was going to win the Republican nomination, and was used to say that he was interfering in the election to help Trump. One was the Steele dossier, and it was just nothing about it justified what they did against America based on completely made up intelligence. So yes, it was very vindicating. And yet we still have the media who participated in this hoax, this conspiracy against America. They're still operating, and they are still trying to hide this story. And so that's very frustrating.
Well, and they're trying to change the narrative. Yesterday you heard a lot of them say, well, this is outrageous. It's just proven fact that Russia meddled in the election. That's not being disputed. They didn't say Russia meddled in the election. What they said was they, number one, successfully interfered in the 2016 election. And number two, they did it because they preferred Trump over Hillary. That was the narrative that was embedded in this fig leaf that they all used, the intelligence community assessment, that then drove the narrative an illegitimate president, that he was potentially a Russian asset, that he was Putin's puppet. And this validated that. And now they're trying to change the subject. But we know what they said. We've got it on tape. We're showing the videos all the time now, Mollie. Are they going to get away with it again, I guess, is the question.
Well, only if people let them. Anyone who says this is not a massive deal is a liar and an enemy. And I'm being quite serious about it. Anyone who says that is lying, and they are willfully choosing not to report what we know here. The other thing that came out this week is not just what you just said, Larry, but also that they had an official briefing that was going to go to both Obama and Trump saying that the meddling efforts of Russia were just like they always are and no big deal and didn't affect the election. And they suppressed that so that they could run this info up, which is very, very bad. And so, again, anyone, if you hear anyone, even if they claim to be conservative, if you hear anyone say this isn't a massive deal, they are lying. And they are perpetuating a seditious conspiracy against the United States. I mean, I don't normally speak this way, but that's how serious this is. Yeah. And the fact that the media are not giving this their due weight, like, of course they're not going to. They were participants in this. They did this action against America, but they should not be allowed to get away with it.
Well, Mollie, we had K.T. McFarland on just 20 minutes ago, and we were talking about with her, some of the people whose lives were really, really, really damaged, the financial toll that it took. But looking at some of the media, the few media voices like yourself, and I see here on X you had an exchange with Maria Bartiromo, who were calling out at the time every step of the way, debunking a lot of this Russia hoax all along the way and how you guys were slandered. talk to us about that, because it's not fair that you had other people winning Pulitzer Prizes for lies that they were perpetrating, and you guys were speaking the truth from the start, and instead you were slandered and, almost excommunicated from the media community.
I will admit that I'm very pleased to be so vindicated. There were just so few of us who were fighting against this. And we were doing it when we didn't know what we found out this week. We didn't know that they suppressed the real intelligence and that they invented the fake intelligence. We suspected something like that was going on, but we had to stay strong without all of these facts that came out this week. But again, that's why it's so frustrating that once you have irrefutable evidence of what happened from Brennan and Comey and Obama and their media handmaidens, because remember, they could not have achieved this coup effort without the compliance of the media. And so, Comey and Brennan and Clapper, they're all gone. Obama's gone. Biden's gone. But a lot of these media people are still there, still running hoaxes against the American people, and they need to also be held accountable for it. But yes, I do feel it's hard not to feel vindicated. It was very difficult to stand up against 99.9% of the media landscape on this Russia collusion hoax. And for them to now say, oh, we just said Russia meddled. No, you didn't. Right. That's a lie.
There's another narrative out here that is incredibly ironic and deceitful, and that is that people are wringing their hands over this. Oh, this is just so wrong that Tulsi Gabbard is doing this because this politicizes the intelligence community. It's hard to say with a straight face, Molly. And it undermines the career intelligence professionals who were trying to do their. This is literally what they did. I mean, Brennan, the paper trail is there. He literally overruled the career professionals who said, no, this intelligence is garbage. And he insisted that they reach the conclusion that the evidence did not support.
Thank you. I had an exclusive earlier this week at the Federalist that showed exactly that Brennan overruled what his own intelligence officials were saying. They were screaming from the rooftops, do not say that Russia interfered to help Trump because we have, and I quote, no evidence to support that. And he said the assessment stands. And we'll have a piece out later today at the Federalist that shows how Comey overruled the objections on the Steele dossier. Again, the actual intel experts were saying this is extremely sketchy. This reads like a National Enquirer story. And he said, I don't care. I want it in there. So they are projecting the exact opposite of what reality is. They were the ones who overruled their own intel analysts. Not that there aren't also bad intel people there, too.
Right, yeah. Mollie Hemingway did she called an emergency podcast with her colleague Sean Davis at the Federalist last night, breaking all this down. I purposely didn't listen because I didn't want it to influence my broadcast this morning. Now that I'm done with my show, I will listen to it. Although I got to say, Mollie, I mean, you do these podcasts with Sean. You got a podcast with David Harsanyi. I'm starting to get jealous. I mean, isn't it time for the Mollie and Larry podcast?
We'll see.
Did you just snort? Did I make Mollie Hemingway snort on
breaking
WMAL? Oh, all right. We're going to have to clip that and put it out. You're going to go viral for your snort, Molly. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Molly.
Thanks, guys.
It is 8:44.
Thursday on the Derek Hunter Show, as more information comes out about the Obama administration's complicity in the Russia hoax, will the media care? Of course not. We'll talk about it at 3 o'clock on WMAL.
All right. We don't want this to get lost in the shuffle of all this news released yesterday by the Director of National Intelligence. That had to do with one narrative. Again, the two lies in the intelligence community assessment that was directed by Barack Obama on December 9th, the two lies that they said, go find me the intelligence to support these lies. Number one, that Russia successfully interfered with the 2016 election. And number two, that they did it because they were in bed with Trump, that they wanted Trump, that they favored Trump. Neither of those things were supported by the intelligence. None of it. But they put it out there. And one of the pieces of evidence that Director Gabbard put forward yesterday to prove that the second part of that was a lie, that Russia favored Trump, was that Russia was sitting on a ton of intel damaging to Hillary Clinton, and they never released it. They never put it out. If they really favored Trump, they would have dumped
they would have
stuff.
put it out. Absolutely.
Or
leaked it to somebody who could. Yeah.
So that begs the question, what exactly did Russia have on Hillary? And, well, here it is, cut 30.
report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
I'm sorry, she had psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers, plus the fact that she tried to engineer federal tax dollars through the State Department to help bribe religious groups to support her presidential campaign.
Goodness.
All of that, by the way, sounds completely accurate and believable.
Well, yeah, all of those black churches that came out in support of her and the tranquilizers. Listen, it's not hump day. Wednesday is done. We know Chris Plant usually starts talking about Hillary Clinton waking up in a pool of her own vomit. I thought it was from wine, based on what he usually says, but maybe Chris will correct us now. Maybe it's the tranquilizers. I mean, yikes.
Oh, well said. It would be a great day to have Chris Day. Sadly, he's still on his listener cruise, but I'm thinking the people on that cruise ship are getting an earful of Chris today. Listen, that's what the Russian intelligence agencies had on Hillary. Is it true? I don't know. But in the words of John Brennan, it rings true, doesn't it? It's 8:53.